Dive Podcast, straight talk on politics, national security, and America's future. With Robert Johnson and Linda Miller, we cut through the spin, tackle the tough issues, and give you the real story behind today's headlines. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell to stay informed.
Okay, let's dive in. There's this really striking idea doing the rounds. Imagine facing potentially hundreds of drone attacks in just one night.
Yeah, or even, the concept of a drone that isn't just following orders, but actually choosing its own target, using AI.
Exactly. And that's really what we've been looking into this week. Information describing these kinds of military tech developments, specifically about drone use in the conflict in Ukraine.
We've seen stuff covering new drone capabilities, details on production seemingly ramping up, accounts of recent pretty intense attack activity.
And troop movements as well, potential international connections. It's quite a bit to sift through.
It really is a dense picture.
So our aim here is to sort of work through that, pull out the main threads. What exactly are these capabilities being described? What's the reported scale? And, what implications are being floated in this information?
Trying to get a clearer sense of what's reportedly happening based on what we've seen.
Right. Let's start with that drone capability, the AI one.
Okay, so one of the big things we learned about is this reported development, the use of kamikaze drones that seem to be equipped with artificial intelligence.
And this is being framed as, potentially a whole new phase in military tech, right? Something different from, say, the drones we were hearing about earlier.
Definitely. The key feature described is the AI's ability to autonomously identify and even select targets to destroy.
So it's not just following a preset GPS path or being steered by someone right up until impact.
That seems to be the suggestion. It implies the drone might be making, those critical decisions itself, especially in that final phase.
Interesting. And were there technical details?
There were some, yeah. The information mentioned a central computing module, reportedly a Chinese mini computer, specifically the Litop A203.
Okay.
And that this is powered by a pretty high-performance processor, the NVIDIA Jetson Orin.
Right, the Jetson Orin. That rings a bell. That's a known quantity, isn't it? Commercially available AI chip.
Yeah. Exactly. Often used in robotics, autonomous systems development, that sort of thing. Its reported presence is quite telling.
It suggests they might be integrating sophisticated but sort of off-the-shelf civilian tech into military hardware.
Which could potentially enable that complex onboard processing needed for, finding and choosing targets on its own.
And where was this type of drone reportedly found?
The information indicated Ukrainian intelligence reportedly discovered one, this type, in the Sumy region.
So, suggesting it's not just theoretical, it's something claimed to have been actually recovered from the field.
That's the implication, yes. That it's been found and analyzed in a real-world context.
Okay, so a potentially significant technological step. But what about the sheer numbers? The scale of production, the frequency of attacks? The figures we saw were pretty eye-watering.
They really were. The information points to a big reported jump in Russia's daily drone production.
How big a jump?
Well, based on the Ukrainian intelligence accounts we saw, the rate reportedly went from about 21 units per day up to nearly 70 per day.
70? Wow, that's more than triple.
A massive increase, yeah. And paired with that, there are claims that Ukraine is facing just an incredibly high number of attacks.
Like the 500 number.
Exactly. One report suggested over 500 drone attacks nightly. Another claim was that Russia might soon be able to launch over 500 every single night.
That kind of volume is hard to fully grasp. Was there any context given for this reported surge?
The information we reviewed did connect this intensification, especially with drones, to a Ukrainian operation called WEB, or
Oh, okay.
The suggestion being that this increased pressure came after that operation. We also learned about reports that new launch pads are apparently being built.
As a response. To launch more drones, maybe from different places?
That seems to be the potential reasoning presented, yes, facilitating larger numbers or more dispersed launches.
So, looking at the recent attack activity itself, the picture painted is one of intense, widespread pressure.
Very much so. Descriptions of hundreds of drones and missiles reportedly hitting the country in a single night, seemingly on multiple occasions.
Any specific incidents highlighted?
Yes, the attack on Kharkiv a few nights ago really stood out in the material. The account mentioned 48 kamikaze drones used just in that one attack.
48 drones? Plus other things.
Right, alongside missiles and guided bombs. And these were reportedly targeting residential areas in the city.
The description from the city's mayor was quite stark, wasn't it? Calling it the most powerful attack in 39 months.
Yes, that quote was included. And reports of over 50 explosions just during that one night.
The reported damage sounds extensive. 18 multi-story buildings, 13 private homes.
Yes, that was listed. Now, it's important we mention the information also included a note stating the Russian perspective, that they don't attack civilian objects unless they are reportedly being used for military purposes.
Okay, so that viewpoint was presented alongside the descriptions of damage to residential areas.
Got it. There was also mention of an incident in Kyiv. A reported video from a resident apparently showed a drone explosion. Flames reaching, what was it, about 25 meters up a building.
Gives you a visual sense of the impact.
Definitely. And the attacks weren't just limited to Kharkiv and Kyiv. Reports mentioned hits in Donetsk, Dnipro, Ternopil, and Odessa regions too.
Right. I remember seeing an account attributed to the Ukrainian foreign minister about one night's attacks on Kharkiv, mentioning casualties and damage to energy infrastructure.
Exactly. Beyond the cities, there were also reports of strikes on specific military targets.
Like Snake Island.
Yes, Russian strategic bombers, Tu-22 M3s, reportedly hitting Snake Island. And also a report of a really large strike.
Oh, one on the airfield.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Involving Tu-22 M3s and Tu-95 MS bombers on the military airfield in Dubno in the Rivne region.
And the information linked that Dubno strike back to Operation Web, didn't it?
It did. It suggested this major bomber strike happened shortly after squadrons of those same types of fighters were reportedly attacked and destroyed by Ukraine a week before.
Implying a possible retaliatory strike.
That seemed to be the connection being drawn. The military airport in Hostomel was also mentioned as a reported target in some attack waves.
Okay, so putting all these attack details into the broader military picture, what about troop movements?
The information included details there too. A reported concentration of Russian forces near Sumy earlier in the week. About 125,000 personnel.
125,000. And what was the analysis suggesting this might mean?
The analysis presented in the material we saw suggested this could signal preparations for, or perhaps the start of, a summer offensive.
And any potential targets highlighted?
Kramatorsk, Konstantinovka, and Pokrovsk were mentioned as possible main targets for such an offensive, based on that analysis.
And there was context on territorial control, too.
Yes, stating that Russian troops reportedly control 95% of the Luhansk People's Republic territory.
Oh, okay.
And the analysis suggested that gaining control over the Donetsk People's Republic would strengthen control over the whole Donbas region, which aligns with stated goals of the Special Military Operation, or SVO.
So painting a potential strategic picture based on those troop movements and control percentages.
Exactly. And finally, there was a thread about a potential international connection to these drone advancements.
Ah, right. The China connection, or alleged connection.
Yes. The belief presented was that Russia's rapid progress in drone tech might be possibly due to help from China.
And the reasoning given was that the AI drone found was reportedly mostly assembled from Chinese components.
That was the supporting point mentioned. However, it was also noted that both China and Russia have reportedly denied supplying drones or weapon components for the conflict.
Right. Denials from both sides were included.
And there was also mention of actions by the U.S., that U.S. President Trump and the Biden administration have reportedly imposed sanctions aimed at China, specifically to limit access to computer chips.
Chips like the ones presumably needed for these advanced drones.
Precisely. So that kind of pulls together the reported tech, the scale, the context, and these broader geopolitical allegations and actions that were part of the information we looked at.
So when you step back and look at all of it, the reports of these potentially autonomous AI drones, the huge reported jump in production, the sheer frequency of attacks described, hundreds a night, and then the wider military context, it's a complex and pretty concerning picture.
Absolutely. The convergence.
Yeah.
Advanced tech, mass production, high-frequency use. It suggests a really significant shift in how things are operating, according to the analysis presented.
It definitely leaves you thinking, what happens, what are the implications if this kind of autonomous capability described becomes even more widespread in warfare? It's a serious question prompted by this information.
Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. We are here to make things clear. New episodes every day.